So you want to be an entrepreneur. How are you going to get the money you need for your company to grow? There are four main ways of funding a company. You can receive a grant, typically from the government or a charity, borrow money, receive investment, or use the profit from sales. I find sales are often overlooked as a source of finance for a company. You take the profits you make and reinvest them to develop the products and services you want to offer. You are, of course, in complete control, but generally you will grow more slowly. The motivation for requesting other sources of funding is that you wish to accelerate the speed at which you can develop and grow your company. If you're pre-product, many people use consultancy as a means of generating revenue to develop products. The risk here is that your consultancy distracts you from the product you're trying to build. Make sure you leave time and resources to chase the original dream. There are many grants for companies that are starting. They are available from many organisations, and you should think about the motives of that organisation in giving the grant. Your local enterprise partnership and the devolved governments are targeting specific geographies. Charities will want to advance their charitable aims. There are many advantages to grants. They generally accept a higher risk of project failure than other finance sources. Because of the high competition for some grants, winning one of them can be used as a quality indicator when seeking other finance, such as investment or banking. I have also seen grants used as a door opener when building a consortium. People see grants as zero cost, but they often forget the time cost of submitting reports. A real risk is I've seen companies develop something that is different from their original idea, just because a grant was available. So they can be a distraction. Be aware of this risk. You should only apply for a grant to support something that you would have done anyway. Grants are rarely 100% funded. Generally, the larger they are and the closer to market the grant output is, the less that you will receive. Typical project contributions are 25 to 75%. Smaller companies tend to be given a higher rate than large companies. My big tip for writing a grant proposal, just like my school teacher used to say, answer what is asked, read all the questions, and don't waffle. I would add, work hard on making the first answer grab their attention and provide clarity. I have seen good projects refused grants as they failed to clearly explain their project. Consider a grant writer. They have experience and know the nuances of writing a good grant application. As your knowledge grows, undertake more of the work in-house. Finding grants can be a tricky, time-consuming business. I personally like Grant Finder and do have a search around yourself. Speak to your local enterprise partnership or your devolved government, who also provide innovation support. Banks are great providers of working capital, the money you need to finance your company as a going concern doing the day-to-day work. Banks are rarely used to fund growth. If you're a startup, look out for loans from the Startup Loans Company. Innovate UK has just launched a trial called Innovation Loans for late-stage projects that are too risky for banks. We have more information on this in Charlotte's film on loans. What are the advantages of bank finance? It is very cheap from an equity point of view. You don't use any. Banks can also be very flexible in their approach. You have to be aware that loans can be called in, that is, taken back, if the bank decides that the risk profile has significantly changed. And remember that banks now tend to make decisions centrally, so again think hard how you explain things, as you're unlikely to be in the room as they make a decision. Now, let's look at crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has risen in popularity over the years. Instead of securing funds from an organisation, platforms, normally on the web, manage the process. There are four main types of crowdfunding. Debt, used to raise working capital for an ongoing company. Equity, used to sell shares in your company. Reward, ask the crowd to help fund the creation of a new product and reward them with early access. And finally, donation. Just ask them for their cash, not often used in a commercial setting. When using crowdfunding, you need to think mass appeal. More emotive perhaps, when compared to the funding sources we have seen so far. And what are the pros of crowdfunding? Well, there are hundreds of platforms and lots of choice. They're highly flexible. The options include, as we said, debt, equity and reward. They can help you to identify your customer base, validate it and add credibility. So, what are the cons? Well, how do you choose between those hundreds of platforms? and be aware that not all platforms are regulated. Also, you need to create momentum before launching the campaign, and this can be really time-consuming. Use Nesta's website to help identify the right platform for you and your idea. Don't forget the Knowledge Transfer Partnership, or KTP. This is a UK-wide programme that has been helping businesses for the past 40 years. They aim to improve the competitiveness and productivity of the UK through better use of knowledge, technology and skills. It does this by linking a company with an academic or research organisation and a graduate. Have a look at our KTP video for more details. Finally, it's tough raising funds, but stick with it and stay confident. Use other people's feedback to improve your idea and make success more likely.